T1. It's a model that was created before I was created. And so out of that model came my model. And so we see those models going crazy in the middle of the hallways in this huge office building.
We spent a lot of time, Stan and myself and his team there at Stan Winston Studios, going through multiple generations of design ideas and really thinking it through, like, what would a robot like that have? What kind of weaponry would it have? What sort of sight system would it have? How would it get around?
The T1 in the Terminator series, although this is the third in the series, the T1 is the first in the series where it's actually a robot. There is no digital T1. There are no digital shots. Everything you see is a completely performing robot.
When they finally were put together and they came to the set for the first time and I saw them fully finished, there was like a sense of wonderment and awe that it was just the same that I hope the movie audience has the first time they see them. There's, no matter how deeply involved you get with the details, when you see it all put together for the first time, it's incredible.
Two machines, and my model is a much more advanced model than he is. So she does certain things that he can't do, and so she kind of has the upper hand a little bit.
It's really wild to see a villain that looks that good and kind of has this look that every man wants to be with her, knowing that as soon as you just touch her, you get destroyed in the most evil way.
Arnold and the TX really go at it big time, and they completely wind up destroying the environment that they're having their fight in. And it was actually a much more complicated scene from a visual effects standpoint than the audience will ever realize. They're just going to see this place getting trashed, and there's a tremendous amount of visual effects that were required to accomplish that scene.
Bathroom fight where she's being slammed around, she was all digital double. Arnie was the real actor. When we're doing digital double work, we'll always start with a scan, a cyber scan of the actual actress, and from that we will build our, our animation models. So all the proportions and everything are right on.
Getting to the actual environment where the lab fight takes place, we have people from our match move department who take as many photographic references as they can. Photographs of the puppet that was used, some more wardrobe references, close-up skin references, so we get the actual texture of the skin, all the bumpiness, all the folds, and there's the finished shot.
When you read the script, it was like, okay, and TX comes towards Terminator and snaps his head off, and he loses his head, and at some point he sits up and he puts his head back on. So That was another thing in that sequence that, you know, they all looked at me and said, well, how do we do that? Obviously, we can't do it with Stan's animatronic because he hadn't built anything like that, and so it was going to be CG.
The original intention was to only replace the head and use the body of the stunt double. However, they need more flexibility with that in terms of the performance. So we decided to go on our motion capture stage and shoot the same motion with motion capture. We had separate plates shot. This is the Terminatrix, and then a separate plate of Arnold. And of course, our job here is to replace his head. This is a close-up of the head showing facial shapes that have been applied by the animator to try and give him some life in the face. Once the animation has been approved, we then go to the cloth simulation stage. Now, another pass we have is depth pass to tell how far away from camera the object is, so we can simulate depth of focus. So we have the two plates combined and our CG element dropped into place with drop shaft.
It's working.
The Particle Accelerator was a sequence that was particularly interesting to us because it was another area in which we were going to have to invest some resources.
Accelerator sequence where she melts down because she's caught in this tremendous magnetic field. Was hoping that she would have some human characteristics and some sort of ghoulish aspect to her, so that when you saw liquid metal torn away, it would have a sort of Night of the Living Dead kind of feel to it.
We just didn't have anything that actually allowed us to control fluid simulation the way that we needed.
We started designing a full simulation engine from the ground up for this show. These were some of our early tests for where we have a face that's kind of melting on top of the endoskeleton. We distributed particles evenly across our 3D surface, and what you see here in white is the areas where the fluid would not flow, and the blue areas define where the fluid would start moving once we gave it some gravity or any external forces.
Now the question was how we were going to get Kristanna's face and expressions into the CG model.
What we did was use the existing plate that we had, and once we had the fluid simulation, the particles that covered her entire body, we ran those particles back through the fluid, and the reason to do that is because the level sets have no texture information. They don't really know what their color in space is, so we had to force something in there, and the particles was the best way to do it.
I think they did an amazing job. It's way surpassed my expectations. I think it's really scary to see.